Hello, everybody, and welcome to our channel. We're offended, you're offended. I'm Kim, and everybody knows Tyler. Say hi, Tyler.
Oh, that didn't come through. God damn it.
What did you say?
I burped.
Oh, that's hot. Okay. All right, and we have a special guest with us today, our friend Mark. Mark, say hi.
Hello, everyone.
All right. So, where are you reporting from today, Tyler?
Oh, beautiful BC. That's yeah.
Okay, whereabouts in BC?
You know the little town of Osoyoos?
Not personally, but I'm aware.
Soyuz, I've been there.
Yeah, a nice little tourist town.
Yeah, it's pretty not too bad.
Yep, I like it. There were some fires coming through Highway 3 from Vancouver, but yeah, that was it was kind of a cool little expedition.
Oh, that sounds fun. Be kind of interesting. Is what do you call it? Destructive as fires are, they're kind of interesting to see.
Oh, if the videos are anything like from the Coca-Cola, that would probably be pretty terrifying. Or even the number one.
Oh,
I like
really?
Spence's Bridge, and oh yeah, there were towns taken out on Highway 1.
Oh shit! I didn't know that.
There were concerns with Merritt because all the fires were surrounding Merritt and coming down the hills. Well, the mountains, I guess. But yeah,
It's kind of scary, but also at the same time, I'm a little sad that this time I'm not on the road with you to see that. That'd be kind of interesting to see. Kind of one of those,
yeah.
I'm one of those people that like to see disasters when they happen. Like you just stop and stare at a car crash, or you see a fire truck zoom by and you wonder, where are they going? I want to see this fire. And then you go follow them. I'm one of those people.
I don't. Fuck that. Fuck that.
No? You don't want to see a disaster or something interesting like that?
No. A freaking masochist or sadist?
I don't think so. I think it's more just curious.
Want to see the whole world burn.
Yeah.
I think it's more like I have this thing in me that I want to like try to help people. And even though obviously the firefighters or the paramedics are going to do a better job than I can, it's like I want to try to help all the time. And yeah, just kind of curious about it. I don't know.
That's kind of messed up, Kim.
Yeah, well, you married me, so yeah. You're welcome.
Okay. Well, I guess before we get into this, like, subscribe. What do people say? Oh, inappropriately touch the like button, right? That's what people say.
Smash that like button and
yeah, smash it.
Yeah,
smack it, beat it,
just
up.
Like
smack her around a little bit,
Yeah.
Come on,
just like how Antifa, smash the fash. Smash that like button like Antifa.
Yeah, and share the fuck out of us, man. Get us out there. Because other people want to hear us bitching about shit.
Okay, so yeah, I guess check us out on YouTube. We're on Rumble, Anchor, Instagram, shitty Facebook,
Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, really anywhere you can find podcasts. We are there.
Yeah.
We're stalking you from every possible direction we can.
Okay, with the formalities out of the way, let's get into this kind of a weird story to start. So this is from CTV News, and it was titled Winnipeg family is denied hospital room visit due to an unvaccinated patient sharing a room. Winnipeg family is speaking out after not being able to visit their loved one in a hospital because they were transferred into a room with an unvaccinated patient. They kind of go on with, my mom walked into what she thought was my sister's hospital room, and there was somebody else. At which point, the hospital said they have moved her and was now in the rehab portion of the hospital. I guess, yeah, it's just a lot of Okay. This came from the health from Shared Health. We recognize the emotional strain that visitor restrictions have had on patients or residents and their loved ones throughout the pandemic, and acknowledge the current concerns expressed by individuals via the organization. So I guess kind of what ended up happening was someone that was unvaccinated was ended up sharing a hospital room with someone that was, and now people are kind of freaking out about it. I don't know. What do you guys think about it?
Okay, so am I getting this correct? So they moved a lady who was in the hospital and vaccinated into a room with somebody who was unvaccinated. And because they moved this lady into a room with an unvaccinated patient, her family was no longer allowed to come see her.
Yeah, I guess there were some issues regarding it. So once the 2 weeks passed, Fox Worthy was able to visit her sister until she was moved without the family knowing. My mom walked into what she thought was blah, blah, blah.
Okay, so I think that's bullshit, for one. And two, why are they have somebody who's vaccinated in with somebody who's unvaccinated? Because even though you're vaccinated, you can still carry it. You can still be a carrier of the COVID virus. So regardless whether the lady is vaccinated or not, she can still be carrying it and then transfer it to the unvaccinated. So why are they mixing vaccinated with unvaccinated? That makes absolutely no sense at all.
Well, let's go to, okay, so visits may occur in the patient's room if physical distancing can be maintained between visitor and inpatient, and if all patients present a fully vaccinated if in a shared room. The policy reads, if a room is not large enough for physical distancing to be maintained, or if another patient is shared in a room has not been fully immunized, the facility will determine if another location can be accommodated for the visit. This consideration will also include an assessment of whether it is safe to move the patient to another location. So it seems like there was a bit of a, I don't know, maybe like a bit of a in transition thing, I guess, into like a more permanent place. But I thought the big push was like, if you're vaccinated, everything's okay. Like, wasn't that initially like the big push?
Well, initially. So, but does it say anywhere in this article if the family members that were trying to see the woman that was in the hospital and vaccinated, were the family members vaccinated? Because if they were fully vaccinated, then what's the issue?
Well, that's kind of what I'm thinking, because I'm assuming that everyone would be vaccinated. They would have to be.
Well, they weren't even letting people like come and visit you in the hospital, right? Like if you were in there sick.
Before,
yeah, you were alone.
Yeah, you were in there by yourself. Nobody could come visit you at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So having somebody vaccinated in the same room as somebody who's not, like, that doesn't make sense.
Right?
That's like ass backwards, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's, well, and I get, so hold on. No. So if the big push was for immunization, and actually the CDC recently released numbers that something like 80% of people that are unvaccinated are totally fine. Like they well, I shouldn't say totally fine, but they already have like immunity to the virus. So for some reason we're kind of instituting all these types of policies and, you know, this vaccine passports and all these types of mandates in for 20% of the population. Like we're pushing that hard for it.
Have you been asked to provide proof anyway?
Nope. No, I'm well, BC's implemented it, Manitoba has, Quebec has, I know Ontario, I think they just released their vaccine passport bullshit.
Yeah.
I was asked at one restaurant that I went to if I had been vaccinated.
I haven't been asked a single thing.
Wow.
Which is good. This was at Yee's Bistro on St. James. Yeah, I went there with a friend of mine, and she had asked if we were vaccinated, and then it goes into, oh, well, are you guys in the same household? Well, no. Okay, well then, yes, you can come in and dine, but you can't sit at the same table. Yeah. And I was like, that's fucking bullshit. So we left and we went someplace else and sat on a patio somewhere. But that was the first time I'd been out since fucking COVID hit, which was, it was nice and weird.
It's kind of interesting that, so the government kind of hammered these businesses, hammered them into the ground, forced them to shut down. A lot of businesses are shut down and just not coming back. People that want to work are going to work, have moved to places where they can work. Like, workers are just going to do that. So now, what's the big push? Well, we're trying to get employees to come back. Well, they're not coming back. So, you already have these businesses that are already hurting for cash. And then you have the government step in and say, you need to employ, or you need to institute this type of policy. Like, call me crazy, but when was it government's job to regulate that deeply, or to institute policy for a business? When has that ever been a thing? Like, hospitals, I could totally understand. Like, yeah, you probably don't want a virus getting worse, or the initial thing was, we don't want to overwhelm our hospitals. That was the big reason for all this. The 15 days to flatten the curve and da-da-da.
Yeah, a year and 8 months later.
Well, and I've said it before, look where we've gone from 15 days to flatten the curve to, now we need to have like COVID zero. And now we're having vaccine passports. People are getting fired, losing their jobs.
Yeah, in a lot of places, in order to keep your job, you have to be vaccinated. And if you don't get vaccinated, then sorry, bye.
Yeah. And like I've said before, like there is no, exemption in those orders. So I don't know. I find it weird that a government, instead of having their, the police have been more than happy to violate people's rights and push for all this type of stuff. But we're kind of getting a little bit off topic, but I don't know. What do you guys think with hospitals kind of having a vaccinated and an unvaccinated person sharing a room, I guess?
I mean, I think I was pretty clear when I said earlier where I kind of stand. I don't think you should, because again, the vaccinated person can still be a carrier and give it to the unvaccinated. Now, with that being said, then it kind of, I don't know, then you can potentially get into a gray zone where, let's say the hospital is filled with a bunch of vaccinated patients and there's one spot left and an unvaccinated person ends up in the ER and needs an ICU or something like that, and that's the only place that they can put them, well, then that's the only place they can put them. I don't think that they should turn them away. However, I think there should be better accommodations. I don't know if accommodations is the right word. Better planning to have vaccinated be with the vaccinated and the unvaccinated being with the unvaccinated, because again, you can still be a carrier to the unvaccinated.
What about you, Mark? What are you thinking?
Well, I don't think they should do that. I mean, because now you got like one person who is, one who isn't, and then every nurse or doctor that walks into that room is now potentially like at risk, right? And then they're walking all over the entire complex, just spreading it around.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and even the unvaccinated person can, like, or the vaccinated person, even though you're vaccinated, doesn't mean that you can't get COVID. Like, you can still get it. It's only 90% or 95% effective, allegedly. So there are still people who are being vaccinated that are still getting the virus. So, I don't know.
No way to tell unless you get tested.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
and whether those tests are accurate or not, I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I don't know whether. Well, I don't know. There's been arguments that it is, that it isn't. Some things are causing false positives, and I don't know. Just wash your fucking hands. Like,
Right? Stop with the sanitizer. Oh my God. The sanitizer thing drives me crazy. Okay. Back in the day, I know I'm going a little bit off topic here, but back in the day when I went back to school, my English teacher I always called her like a hippie, but because she always, like every single project that I had to do for English, every paper was something on either sanitizers or the environment or something like that. Like it was always that kind of stuff. I did so many reports on hand sanitizers and disinfectants and stuff like that, that honestly had changed my mind way before COVID hit. And when COVID hit, I was like, what are you doing, people? Stop. Because overusing hand sanitizers creates superbugs, because all the germs and the bacteria and stuff that's on your hands and the bugs on your skin and whatnot, they start becoming immune to it. And then they get even bigger and more powerful, and people get sicker that way. Like that's what they call, is they created superbugs.
Yeah.
So all these people that are walking around using all these hand sanitizers and these disinfectants and stuff like that all the time, you're not only killing the bad bacteria, you're also killing the good bacteria, and you're getting yourself at risk for getting sicker. So when this stuff came out, like I'll use hand sanitizer if I have to. But other than that, if there is a sink and soap nearby, I will wash my hands. I'll just wash my hands. I will not use sanitizer. Like sanitizer is so bad for you. I can't stress that enough. I mean, yeah.
Cool.
Oh.
Sorry. I know. That was a little off there, but yeah.
Well, yeah, then like you're so clean all the time, and then everything you do, it like gets you sick, right? The
Yeah.
whole bubble child thing, like
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, that ends up becoming a real big problem when your immune system isn't worked out. Like your immune system is kind of like a muscle. Like if you don't use it, like, and there's been a lot of people that are now, they've been isolated and their immune system is actually like getting weaker. And
Right?
there's been quite a few cases of people actually getting really sick now.
And that was another thing for me too, that like in the very beginning, when all this stuff happened, like not everybody knows, but I got a little obsessed with watching the numbers and stuff like that, because this was all something new and I was a little freaked out about it. Obviously, never had to live through something like this before, and was concerned about myself, my family, stuff like that. So I was a little obsessive with watching the numbers and tracking everything and whatnot. And I was a little angry at first because in the very beginning, like even people at my work, I want to say 80% of the people, maybe 90% of the people at my work got to work from home, where my role was serving the public. So I was upfront and I had to stay at work. I was considered essential. So I needed to be upfront with the people. And in the very beginning, there was tons of people that were coming that had just gotten off of flights, got back from vacations, this, that, the next thing. And we had nothing. We didn't have any PPE. We didn't have masks. We didn't have gloves. We didn't have nothing. And I was really angry. And at first, but then as time kind of started going by, I had realized that actually it's not a bad thing. Like I was okay with the fact that I was still having to work and be in the public, because all these other people who are working from home and they have to self-isolate and they have to stay in their homes and quarantine and be away from everybody else, their immune systems are going to go to shit. Where I am still actively building immunity towards things that are outside, whether it's even just your common cold. My body is still building immunity towards something like that. Where people who have been isolated for months are going to go out and the tiniest little cold, it's going to be like tenfold. Like they're going to have no immunity to anything. And I think that's going to make people so much sicker. But
so I guess in response, I don't know if you guys really remember or ever heard of this, but there was a thing from CNN, and this was actually some information that was released by Project Veritas and like James O'Keefe. I think he does amazing work. I think, the whistleblowing, he's like kind of nonpartisan. Like he'll call the bullshit out on either side. Like he's called out Republicans. Well, obviously this is US stuff, but he's called out Republicans and he's called out Democrats as well that, the double standard. He's kind of he's kind of on the side of the right, so to speak. But for now, because all the hypocrisy. But anyways, so there was a video ended up coming out, and this is where I say, when I say like, CNN is garbage, and a lot of the stuff that they're pushing, news is no longer information; it is now entertainment. That's kind of what they've become. So this article is from Real Clear Politics. You can look it up. This is just the first one that I pulled up. And it says, Charlie Chester, a technical director for CNN, was captured on film by Project Veritas, admitting that the cable news network hyped the COVID pandemic for ratings and explaining he believes there is no such thing as unbiased news. Sad news, back to back to back, doesn't really do well unless it affects the viewer directly. No one ever says these things out loud, but it is obvious. And he continues with COVID, gangbusters with ratings, right? Which is why we constantly have the death toll on the side. Why isn't it higher today? Well, it would make our point better if it was higher, he said, while being secretly filmed. Fear really drives numbers. Put the number back up because that's the most enticing thing we have. And the article continues on, but do you hear how fucked up that is? The dude is saying only reason why we have this up is because people tune in for it. It has nothing to do with public health or giving people some information. It's, oh, this is great for ratings. This is great. Seeing more people die. We wish it went higher. Yeah. So any reporter at CNN, what they're actually doing is they're telling them what to say. It's always like leading them in a direction before they even open their mouths. The only people we let on the air, for the most part, are people that have proven track records of taking the bait. See, this is why I have such a hard time following, CNN, NBC, a lot of these things, like news or news stations. It's, at least if they were honest, like really just to say, oh, it's doing gangbusters for ratings, right? Because that, but and like for you, Kim, like I know that you kind of got swept up in it. You were checking every single day. Oh, look at the numbers from yesterday to today, and they're going up and up and up and up.
Oh, I know. I wrote that shit down every fucking day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And look at how, like, they never brought up how many people recovered. Actual information. It just, look at how many cases we have now. It's like, oh God,
well,
I could be next.
How many of those cases were deaths like due to not COVID that they just said that it was COVID?
Right?
I know I know everyone makes fun of me for this, but let's see. I'm gonna look this up right now. Motorcycle accident.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking of. I read
treated as
I heard that
COVID death. Yeah,
like it was a actual accident on the roadway.
So from
person on a motorcycle died, and then they just straight up said that it was this person died due to COVID reason.
Well, yeah, it's either that they tested their sorry, whoever this was, if you're listening and you know this person, but they tested their deceased body, and they had potentially the COVID virus in them. But even though they weren't showing any symptoms or whatever, like obviously they didn't die from the actual illness. They might have had COVID in them, I guess. Or there's a lot of nurses and stuff like that said, like, it doesn't matter if it's heart attack, if it's this, if it's that, da, 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 da. Like they were told to mark it down as a COVID death. It didn't matter. It could be a heart attack and COVID. And even if the person did have COVID and then died from a heart attack or a motor vehicle accident or whatever, it was check COVID. Like it didn't matter.
Definitely, the numbers are definitely false.
Oh, they're inflated
for sure.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, there were a lot of reports coming out of people like hospitals and stuff would get money for every person that was considered COVID positive. So if you had a COVID patient, like they said in here, that they could actually argue that it could have been the COVID-19 that caused him to crash. But there were other discrepancies in terms of reporting, and they were only showing positive cases. So it looked like a higher positivity rate earlier. But this is just one example, and this is from July 18th of 2020. But I'm saying, like, this is just an example of, well, the outlandish things that they were pushing for. But if you keep seeing that number go up and up and up and up, like there's been I remember when national news started becoming a lot more prominent. Like people don't watch. Hold on.
Did you sneeze?
I have to sneeze, but I can't.
Nice.
But more national news. I think people don't really make the adjustment that, I get news articles sent to my phone, and I'll see like, oh, in Toronto, someone was shot and killed. In Scarborough, someone was shot and killed. In Quebec, But I think a lot of people kind of internalize it as though this just happened like next door. To an extent, this just happened in Winnipeg. Like I hear there's shootings all over the place. And people just kind of, I think they kind of just internalize that all this stuff just kind of, it's happening so close to home, and it kind of drives up that big fear.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, I don't know. I did want to switch gears just a little bit onto the other news article. Or is there anything, Mark? Was there anything that you wanted to say, or?
No, let's give her.
Okay. So this was another one from CTV News, and I know I tend to use them a lot, but well, I don't know. So it says overdoses. Alcohol-related deaths have increased in Canadians under 65 during the pandemic. And this has actually been one thing I have been shouting and standing behind the most, is the knock-on effect, the unintended consequences of locking everyone, of self-isolation and basically solitary confinement for some people.
Which is funny, because when you look at things like prisons and stuff like that, any person who spent time in prison and who have been in the quote-unquote the hole will tell you that is the worst punishment that you can do for somebody, is literally lock them by themselves where there's like nothing. You know what I mean? Like you can't go anywhere, you can't talk to anybody, you can't do anything. Like that is one of the worst punishments that you can do to somebody, is solitary confinement.
Yeah. So the article says, so overdose deaths and alcohol-related fatalities increased among Canadians under 65 during the pandemic. And a new report from the Canadian Vital Statistics Death Database released on Monday, StatsCan found there were 5,535 more deaths than expected in those younger than 65.
Holy
from the
shit.
end of March 2020 to the beginning of April 2021. In the same period, in the same period, the agency noted 1,380 COVID deaths were attributed to the same age group, suggesting that the excess mortality is in large part related to the unintentional side effects of the pandemic, such as substance abuse. Of those deaths in those under the age 44, the number of alcohol-induced deaths rose from 325 to 480 in 1 year, while alcohol-induced deaths in those Jesus, balls sweat in my face. While alcohol-induced deaths in those aged 45 to 64 also increased. So it's pretty well across the board. There were 3,370 deaths caused by unintentional poisoning, compared to 3,240 The hardest hit regions were Ontario and Alberta. StatsCan reported that the number of deaths attributed to accidental poisoning, ages 44 and under, increased from 1,605 to 2,125. So an extra 500 people accidental overdose or unintentional poisoning.
Which, yeah, that could definitely be like drugs and definitely accidentally drinking too much.
Well, yeah, if you have nothing to do, like you just kind of, and this, like I said, this has been the knock-on effect that we're not going to see these things rear their ugly heads in not in months, but it's going to be years and decades. Kids are going to be developmentally stunted. The people that have lost their opportunities, that have either become homeless or now jobless. Remember, when the government gave money, government doesn't give anything away for free. So,
whoa, that's actually a huge. Sorry, I was reading also more of your article here. So, what you had said there, that 3,700 deaths were caused by unintentional poisoning in 2020. In 2017, accidental poisonings were 1,800 during the height of the opioid crisis. So it jumped from 1,830, which was at the height of the opioid crisis, to 3,700 due to COVID. That is insane.
Yeah, I guess people have just locked at home and they feel useless. They don't have a purpose.
Well, look at all the people. Yeah, exactly. They don't have a purpose. They've lost their jobs. Lots of families ended up splitting up during that time. There's so much more spousal abuse, child abuse, alcohol and substance abuse. Like it's insane.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
you don't hear about those stories though.
No, of course not. You'll hear about it through people who actually, yeah, right? All those suicides, all those freaking overdoses and shit like that, that's all COVID. The only time you actually hear about stuff like this is people that you actually talk to that are in the health industry that aren't being paid to say something dumb, or people who are in like CFS, stuff like that. When you talk to people who work there, like their hands are full. They can't do anything because they're just so backed up, and there's so many more incidences that are taking them unfortunately, more child abuse. And like I said, I don't know what the hell I was trying to say there. Can't think of the word.
Whatever. I don't know. Like I haven't been trapped at home. Like I've been working the whole time. Been going steady and like traveling everywhere, seeing tons of people.
Well, yeah, because you're considered an essential worker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different provinces.
Yeah.
Remote communities.
Yeah, because you're also.
And I haven't seen anybody. Everybody that is there is still there. Nobody's gone.
Yeah.
You don't even hear stories.
Yeah.
No, and I mean, yeah. Well, for anyone that doesn't know, yeah, Mark drives a semi, so he deals with the people just like me. We deal with the people that either have to work or want to work. They don't want to sit at home and do nothing. Like that's not an option.
Yeah, like it's not your choice that you go to some of these places, right? You're like, you have to because it's your job.
Yeah. Saving the world one truckload at a time. If it wasn't for you guys, nobody would have food and the toilet paper that they decided to hoard and all that other bullshit. Like you wouldn't have anything. Everything is delivered by trucks.
Okay, so call me a cynical, call me, I don't know, whatever. I honestly, I don't give a fuck. Like, thank a trucker. If you bought it, a truck brought it, all that other stuff. I'm doing a job. Like, that's it. I take pride in what I do, and I've said it before. I take a lot of pride in my work. I don't like having loads damaged. I don't like driving like an asshole. I take a lot of pride because it's, at the end of the day, it's my name that matters. I don't give a fuck what name is on the side that I'm contracted with. I'm just here doing a job. That's the way I look at it. So, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. I just don't care. Well, I should say I don't care, but I don't know. You know what I mean, right?
No.
Well, like it doesn't. Once you're out and about, like it is you, right? It doesn't matter what it says on the side.
Yeah,
you're in charge. You're in control.
Yeah, well, and it's more like I said, when it first started, you try to go to a place and even just to grab a coffee. Oh, get out. Like I went to there was a Tim Hortons in Coquitlam, BC, and I was saying, hey, can I go get a coffee? It's clearly in a semi. Like the chick that was cleaning up outside looked at me, seen me jump out of the semi and go walking towards this shitty Tim Hortons. And I said, oh, can I go inside to get a coffee? And she said, oh, no one's allowed. You have to go through the drive-thru. I'm like, I'm in a...
Can I walk through it? Can I walk through it then?
Well, and that's what I said. Oh, can I do that? Oh, no, you have to be in your vehicle. I'm in a semi. Well, if you want, you can go through the drive-thru. I don't know if you're not hearing what I'm saying, but I'm in a semi.
Yeah.
My vehicle don't fit, bitch.
I've seen some guys try to do it.
Well, don't most of them have like those height restrictions, like those little gates there, like up at the top? Like you couldn't even go through anyway.
Yeah, no, this one didn't. But in Dryden, Ontario, I've seen guys try to go through that through the drive-through at Tim's.
No, I've seen it.
People want their freaking
I don't
coffee.
even bother, man. You just park across the street at Co-op and walk over there, man, because it's not going to end well.
Yeah, no, and I've seen a guy trying to go through the drive-through there. I also seen a guy. They have concrete barriers around the interior of the parking lot. Somehow, a guy got his trailer on top of it and didn't know how to get out of it. So it took 7 guys to figure out how to get this trailer out from over top of this thing. I don't know why it took 7 guys, but apparently it did. So, just what the fuck? But I don't know. It's just. Oh, sorry. What?
Hey? Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, for me, I don't. I'm just doing a job. I'm just providing a service. I don't think that I'm anything special. I don't think I'm doing anything special. It's just I'm just doing a job. So
you're special.
I'm not retarded.
It's okay, baby. I'll drive the short bus for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've seen a couple things there before. Like, if you look back in some of those medical books, like from like the 80s, it'll even say that the coronavirus is just like a common cold.
Well,
like actually documented.
Well, because I know it's a version of SARS. It's a version of the SARS virus.
Yeah.
And this has been the one that has actually been quite infectious and has actually been causing a lot of problems. But I don't know.
There's a lot of worse things out there than like coronavirus. They're like
100%. 100%. Like,
what are you talking about? This is the most deadliest thing the world has ever seen. Shut it down.
They were even saying there the other day that there was 9 people out of 100,000 in Canada. Like per 100,000 people, only 9 of them had the virus.
Jesus.
My eyes just rolled so hard China heard.
You know what I mean? Like so, like, is that bullshit?
Well, see, and we me and Kim have talked about this before, and it's I will always come from the side of you do what you think is right. I'm not a doctor, but I hear what doctors are saying. Some are saying this is the only way. Like, you follow me and you'll be fine. And then you have other doctors saying, no, don't follow him. Follow me. You'll be fine. Like, say like Dr. 1 was, This vaccine is the only way that we're getting through this. Another doctor is saying, oh, what about exercise? What about, taking care of your immune system, boosting your immune system to help fight this? And then third doctor is, both of them are wrong. You're all going to die. Like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't agree with that. I also don't agree that the vaccine is the only way. So I would maybe, you know what? It makes, like, that makes sense to me. Yeah, exercise, eat healthy, take things that help boost your immune system. Like, everyone was so hard on, like, this is where people have become so cynical. And I know I've said it again. I'll fucking say it again. Joe Rogan, obviously, he got COVID. What were some of the first things?
Did he get COVID?
Yeah, and he's fine.
I didn't know that. I know some of the guests he's had on had COVID. I didn't know he actually had it.
Yeah, he just got it like recently, and people were saying, "Oh, Joe Rogan's gonna die. Maybe he'll die."
Oh my God! What a bunch of assholes!
Exactly, and he, I don't think, like, do people remember when Trump got COVID? People were freaking out, and I think
the only person to get COVID, and 3 days later was fine.
He was totally fine.
Like, as soon as I heard that, I was like, "This is." Yeah, like, I kind of stopped, like, caring. I mean, that's a crock of shit. How is that possible?
He's what? I think he was like 72 or 82.
Just because he's the president, he gets like top-notch service immediately, and then everybody else is just, see ya.
I want whatever he got. Like, if I got COVID and I was getting a bad reaction, I want whatever the fuck he had. Because he was down for a day or two, maybe 2 days. Yeah, it was like day 3. He's like, I'm fine. I'm going to eat a cheeseburger. And it's like, he's not a healthy individual. He's not. He's getting all fucked up on Adderall and McDonald's cheeseburgers. Like,
he doesn't do Adderall.
Maybe that.
Oh no, he doesn't do Adderall.
No, he's so anti. Don't you? Sorry, tongue don't want to work today. Do you not remember when he would talk about, like, Roseanne and stuff like that, about being on Adderall? Like, he's so against that shit. Like, he doesn't do that stuff.
Oh, come on. Really?
No. But he did alternative medicines, though.
Well, he didn't take the vaccine. He did, he did take different things.
Yeah.
We drank Javex.
Yeah. He drank, he was, he was drinking bleach and put UV lights in his lungs. So I don't know. Like, if I guess the kind of the point that I was making was, people were advocating for somebody else to die from a thing. How I don't know, man. That's so fucked up. Excuse me. That's so fucked up.
Other places of the world right now too, it's like COVID's not even a thing, right?
They don't even care. Like, they got bigger fish to fry. Like, they have bigger concerns.
Oh yeah.
And I've said,
hold on. Sorry, with the Joe Rogan thing, apparently he was using, from the articles that I'm reading here anyway, there's a few of them that mention this. It's ivermectin. It's a medication that's used to treat a parasite infection in humans that includes head lice, scabies, river blindness. I don't even know how to say that one. And it's a veterinary medicine that's used to prevent and treat heartworm.
Yeah, in horses. And that's what everyone, like, this is what I find so crazy, that, hey, these things are working. Like, I'm not saying that they're a cure. Maybe they are, but they're not qualified as being a form of treatment. And that's where people start to get in a lot of danger, is because they're saying, oh, this is the silver bullet that's going to do it. I don't know. See, like, for me, if I start getting conflicting stories, what's a sniff test? Like, does that sound like bullshit? Like, you got to do some kind of thinking. Like, if someone says, like, like I previously stated, if one is only saying this is the only way that we can solve this problem, and then someone's saying, no, you should look at, yes, that is an option, but we should also consider these other things that could potentially help. I'm going to take that because we kind of know, like the vitamin D, vitamin C, and a lot of these medications have been safe for people to use. Okay, well, I would rather go with that option than, we don't know exactly like that, but that's just me.
You know what I find interesting is that, okay, apparently Reese finds it interesting too. Sorry, guys. That do you know the John Hopkins, the COVID dashboard that they had going, the thing that I always used to look at and write down my numbers for? It's so funny because since the beginning that this has even started, like the tally just keeps going. When you have things like the flu season, you have, when you look at the flu season, let's say it's from fall to spring or whenever it is, you have X amount of people died from the flu season, which is just that season. But this has literally been going on and on and on and on and on. Now, there's still people who die from the flu in between the flu season, but those aren't the things that are recorded. It's only the things during the flu season. But this is another type of flu. But this is this tally has literally been going on since the damn thing started in 2020.
Well, exactly. And I remember saying that to you, that they haven't considered, like, this is supposed to be the fourth wave now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, at what point are we gonna, just consider it?
Which is crazy too, because then you look at it, like it shows total cases. There is 220 million people who've had COVID. Total deaths is 4.5 million. But vaccines administered is 5.4 billion. That's almost our whole population. The world population is, let's see,
like
7.9 billion in 2021.
Oh, okay.
So you think like that's literally 80% of the world's population that's had this vaccine already. That's kind of scary.
Why is that scary?
I don't know. That's just a really big number of people who've taken this vaccine.
Yeah, but now when we're pushing for all these mandates and all these, all this passport shit, like full disclosure, I'm not getting that QR code. I'm not. If someone says, "Hey, I want to see your papers," okay. No. How about no? Can I see your papers? In fact, there's probably, like I said, there's probably a good chance that I was vaccinated even before you. So are we going to play this fucking game?
Well, see, and the funny thing is too that you were telling me the other day about how the ones in Montreal have actually been, sorry guys, the ones in Montreal have actually been hacked already.
Yeah.
Like, why add something else to it? Like, why have something else that literally is something easy for hackers to get into, like a digital thing? Like, if you want, I don't know.
Yeah.
I would feel more comfortable personally if someone handed me, like, how we have in Manitoba, your Manitoba health card. Someone handed you a health card that said that you've been vaccinated for that. Okay, here you go.
No, but okay, hold on. No. What the fuck are we doing here? Why do I need to show you that I've had some medical procedure done so that I can enter your fucking establishment? This is where I get pissed off. This is full on where I get pissed off. Because, like I've said, the government fucked up. The government hid this information. It is not a conspiracy theory. As much as some people say it, no. They knew back in December up until possibly November that there was a weird virus coming out of China, or military participating in a ceremony in China were showing adverse reactions to this new virus.
Facts.
And when the government or when those people came back, those military personnel, they had to quarantine that plane because guys were getting sick. They were throwing up. They had diarrhea. They were showing issues. And the Canadian government just said, no, you just go home. Don't worry about it. Everything's fine. So this was like December of 2019.
Yeah.
So, there was a big flu wave that happened in and around December that continued up until COVID was officially recognized. And what has our government done? They sold off all our PPE. Their incompetence impacted Canadians directly. And then what happened with the second wave? It's not like they didn't prepare for it. They just said, oh, well, let's just lock down again. Let's just do it again. Oh, third wave. Oh, well, no, now we're going to have this color-coded thing. Oh, we're just going to fine the fuck out of people. And now this fourth wave. Well, now if you don't have this piece of paper saying that you're a good little girl or boy, or whatever you identify as.
Toaster.
Sure.
Actually, I'm a unicorn, but okay.
It's just so, and it's not even hypocrisy. I don't even know what you would consider it. It's like the government bungled this up so much. And I've said, look at what they're doing. Look at how they're acting. And does it jive with what they're saying? Like, it's the same thing. It's a smell test. Well, it smells like bullshit. Because if they were so concerned about it, they wouldn't be taking flights and going off to all these islands and doing their vacation stuff.
Oh my God, right? See, to be clear, though, I don't agree with the passport. I'm very against the whole passport thing, and I'm very against anything that you would have to present to even go into certain establishments. 100% I'm against that. I'm just saying if it's something that ends up being forced upon where you absolutely have to do it, which is exactly what's happening, I'm saying that I would prefer it be something on paper as opposed to a QR code where people can hack into all your personal health information.
Oh yeah. So now places can say, hey, if you would like to participate in our society, I would like to see your documentation, please. Which class of citizen are you? Are you the vaccinated or are you the second class unvaccinated?
Well, and it's already like that. There was a relative of ours was taking our kids out, and they couldn't go to see the movies because they weren't vaccinated. Because they didn't have that proof, they were not allowed in there.
Yeah.
So, it's already, stuff like that's already happening now, where it's literally forcing it upon families to get their kids done so then kids can participate in other activities, which I think is bullshit, and it's just horrible.
My issue is this is a government policy being forced upon citizens to regulate citizens. That's where I start having the problem, because now it's not, and I've noticed this, that people are saying, well, then I'm not going to go to your business because of the policies that you're enacting. Okay, but it's the government telling them to do this. So they have to side with the government. Otherwise, the government, what are they going to do? Look at what they've done. They shut down businesses over and over and over. So now your anger is being taken out on the business instead of the person or the organization that you should be pointing at, which should be the government. That's where I get pissed off. And well, Mark, is there anything you want to say?
Like I say, if you gotta prove that you have this vaccine and provide the proof that you have it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you go to a restaurant. They want to see this when you come in the door. So you're gonna sit down. They let you in. You're gonna eat this food that somebody else cooked. They touched all this stuff. You're gonna eat it. but they don't have to provide the same information to you as the customer to make you feel safe.
Exactly.
Very good point.
That's the problem for me. Like, that's an issue with me.
Yeah.
Like, if I went to a higher establishment restaurant and they asked me that, I would be the same thing. I want to see your passport or your thing that says you are vaccinated, plus the cook, the waitress, everyone in here. I want provide all that information to me.
Right? That's a really good point, though.
You're going to deny me access. It's like, I'm going to deny you the service or whatever. Like,
well, and that's where that divide happens.
Yeah. And that goes all across the board for everything.
Yeah.
Like, not just a restaurant, but every.
Yeah. And then they can be like, oh, well, no, they have to have it in order to work here. Well, I want you to prove it.
Yeah, or even like if a police officer pulled you over and said, provide this information, it's let me see yours. Because if anybody should have this, it should definitely be you. Because you're like a public servant, right?
I wonder what would happen if you ended up getting pulled over by a police officer and they wanted to see your information. You were to say, I want to see your information. If they would actually show it to you, or if they'd be like, well, no, I don't have to show it to you. Like, how dare you? I'm higher up than you, and you're beneath me.
Like, some of those things don't make sense to me, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna eat a bunch of food that somebody else touched, and it's okay, it's safe. You're not gonna get COVID.
Well, and how slippery does this slope become?
Right.
Like, so what if you aren't vaccinated? Okay, well, maybe it starts with restaurants, and and I've said it before. I'm not saying this is happening, but look at Bill C-16, the whole, protecting the gender thing. Well, now they're making laws that you cannot. Jordan Peterson was talking about this, and this is kind of a slight segue. Not really, but I'll get back to my point was that he was saying compelled speech. When the government is saying that you cannot call someone, if someone says, well, I'm a Zer, and you don't call them a Zer, that you could be fined for it. And people are saying, oh, no, that's crazy. They're just looking for equal representation. Well, now look at where we are. So we went from just, people just want to be called whatever they're called. And now we're at the point where people are now being fined and jailed, and businesses are being fined for not identifying this person's gender. So I would almost kind of look at that, and I kind of apply that same ideology or that same kind of premise to this. Well, maybe it starts with restaurants, movie theaters, and okay, well, unless you have your documentation, you cannot go there. Okay, well, now you can't go to grocery. What if they expand it to, well, a lot of people go to grocery stores. People have to go shopping. Okay, well, now you have to prove it there. Oh, if you want to do banking, well, now you have to prove it there. It's like, how far, I'm leery about giving government any more power or any more control, period. So,
my God, as of 20, like now, okay, sorry. There are 100.
What? Sorry?
Right now. I was going to say 2021, but then I stopped mid-sentence and just said now. There are 112 genders currently. Do you think, I'm really sorry, people, but do you think I'm going to remember all 112 of them? I barely remember my name by the end of the day. Like, and you're like, but for something like that to be...
But this is...
fined for not identifying somebody as their ambigagender, whatever the fuck that is, embognic or what? Oh, this is confusing. Embonic? Oh my God, I can barely say it. Identifying as both man and woman, yet neither at the same time. That's the definition for that gender. Really? I mean, okay.
But okay, so this can be a different.
You're neither or.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you identify as neither male or female. But but this is like, why are we playing this stupid fucking game? Like biology doesn't exist. why are we entertaining? Why is this a thing? I don't understand it. Like I had a conversation with a person, and you know what, they're transgender, and you know, like for them, they're not psycho. They didn't feel like they belonged in the body that they were. And so we were talking about it, and I said, well, I'm not trying to be rude, but you do know, like, in people that were born a male, pumping a lot of estrogen into their body, like, it significantly increases your chance of cancers. Like, it's staggeringly high. And you know what they said, that I know, and that's a risk I'm willing to take if I feel okay in my body. Fine. Hey, you know what? That's cool. But if you go to the doctor and the doctor says, hey, I need to, males are more predisposed to certain, diseases and complications than women are for different things. Like women, it's not uncommon for them to get cervical cancer, breast cancer, but for males, it's very common for males to get prostate cancer or other types of complications.
Cancer. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you go to a doctor and you say, oh, I'm a woman, well, they might overlook some of these things. Like if that's all you're saying. And I think it's disingenuous, and I think it's dangerous. Like if you want to play make-believe, there's a big push for, men can have periods too. Women, men can be women. And it's like,
do not get me started on the fucking always shit. When they literally had to change their packaging and stuff like that for pads and stuff like that to be more gender neutral and stuff like that, because men can have their periods too. Men cannot have their fucking periods, people. You might want to play make believe and pretend that you can have your period and walk around with a freaking pad on or a tampon shoved up your ass, but you cannot actually menstruate and have your freaking period. You do not have ovaries. Stop with this freaking madness, and the fact that these companies are literally like fucking entertaining this shit so people don't have their feelings hurt is absolutely absurd. This is something that women have to go through. If you really you want your period that bad, and the cramps and all the other bullshit that goes along with it, come the fuck on. Come on.
So
you hit a red button for me.
So it was something like 0.09% of the population is considered like female that transitioned to male. It's not even a percentage point. I believe it's either 0.09 or 0.9. So maybe 1% of the population. No, that's way too much. That's way too much. It's probably 0.09 of the population. So people, you know what, for me, please, these big, massive corporations, please throw more of your money away. Please. I'm more than happy to see these giant corporations just fucking collapse. I am more than happy to see that. Because they Gillette, everyone will remember Gillette. Their stupid fucking ad that shamed men for being men. The company that makes up like 70 or 80% of your sales, you told them you're a bad human being. Oh, don't just let boys be boys. Oh, there was a clip of a guy trying to hit on a chick and a guy stops him. What? So you basically just told all these guys that, no, they're bad people. They're bad. Guys they can't help but do the raping. Like, I don't know what comes over me. I just see a chick and I just got to start the raping. Right?
Just can't help yourself. That's what boys do, man.
Just gotta go out and rape.
Yeah. It's like, I don't like
we're Adam and Eve, bisexual, transgender, gay, queer, like.
Have you ever
Adam and Eve,
Red.
not Adam and Steve.
Dude, I would rather.
As far as I remember, it was a man and a woman.
Have you actually like looked or gone through this gender list?
It's
Okay, I already
It's
explained one of
silly.
them, but okay, I'm just in the A's, all right? But there's this one. It's angenital, a desire to be without primary sexual characteristics, without necessarily being genderless. One may be both agenital and identify as any other gender alongside.
You know, like
Really?
I honestly I don't
Oh,
take
no.
it seriously.
Hold on.
I
hold
don't.
on. These two are good. I like these two. The astrogender, a gender that feels bright and celestial, or there's a astral gender. See, that was aster. This is astral gender, a gender that feels connected to space.
Yes, and that's why I've said I don't take this seriously because it's people just playing make believe, and just like when have what, I don't know. I like honestly I don't even give a fuck and I don't even want to hear about it because it is just so insanely fucking stupid.
There's an anxiety gender,
sounds
a
stupid.
gender that's affected by anxiety. Are you fucking kidding me? No, that's called like a freaking mental thing, dude. I have anxiety. I don't like it's a freaking thing. It's not
See-
fucking gender.
Okay, enough. I honestly like this pisses me off because it's so fucking stupid
Yeah.
and giving it any time of day. I just no. I can't
You know-
listen to people just being just like no
You
offense.
gotta be careful. You gotta watch what you say. You gotta.
Like
With
No,
this, I was talking to somebody, and somebody had that I was talking to had mentioned that like they don't really care about this kind of stuff. Like they're just like,
No.
you know, if somebody wants to identify as that, like if it's not hurting me, like I don't care if they want to identify as a toaster, whatever, it's no big deal.
Well, yeah,
However,
you be whatever you want to be, right? Like,
yeah, which okay, I get that fact, but when it comes to like what Tyler had mentioned earlier, where people are literally being put out of business or you're being fined or go to court because you're not saying the proper gender, that's like it is affecting you. Like this
yeah.
isn't okay.
I'll be back in a sec. A second.
I think I made him rage because I kept talking about it.
Yeah.
He was like, I need to go cool
like,
down.
to get fined or arrested for something like that.
Right?
I mean, there's a lot more wrong with the big picture of like society, the world. You know, like.
So that's 100%. That's a crazy
But then
part.
they can say whatever they want about like you or certain people who don't like are you not educated with the terminology and the different types, right? So then you offend them and they just bash you or whatever, and it's totally fine.
Right?
Like because you're a normal person, not I don't know, like you're not trying to say the wrong thing here, but
We're breeders, man.
you know, like,
no.
Well, so I
kinda like your old school mentality, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
This is like the new age way of thinking.
I think it's a way of trying to feel as an individual, trying to feel special. Okay, you know, and I've said it. I'm sorry. Not everyone is going to be, is going to be Elon Musk. Is going to have a great idea. You're just not. Like, I don't think I'm going to have a great idea. I don't think I'm brilliant. I know stuff, but I'm definitely not, above average. Well, apparently I am above average, my IQ, but but
so am I.
but most people, I'm sorry, like, oh, I'm this, I'm that. I'm sorry. You're a human being. You're painfully boring, just like 99% of us. You're just boring. And now you're trying to make yourself seem like, oh, well, I'm unique because I identify as blah, 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 blah. And when most people hear that, like, this is why I get so, like, I wouldn't say I get mad. It's just, I don't even want to give this ridiculousness the time of day that I identify I should have been a dragon. Dragons didn't exist. Like, what the fuck?
I'm a unicorn.
I identify as a spectral unicorn. They're not fucking real. You're just playing fucking make-believe. And then, you know, you get into the fucking furry stuff. And
oh, God.
Okay, if you want to play make-believe, please go play make-believe in your own fucking time. But if I had an employee come towards me and say, well, I identify as a wolfkin, so I'm going to wear a wolf's outfit. Not in this business.
I think I might just go the other way with this and be like, I identify as a tax-free person. I don't have to pay taxes.
I like that.
I identify as a royal child of the planet we live on, so I'm free to go wherever I choose.
Yeah,
I like the way you're thinking here.
Oh yeah, there's the free inhabitants, and it's funny when they Articles of Confederation declare that I am not considered a person of this planet or this country. I am a resident of the planet.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah. I don't have to show you my passport because I think that's racist.
Yeah,
it's against my religion.
That's another one.
I'm just coming into your country because I'm allowed to. Like, sorry.
Yeah. Borders mean nothing to me.
Can't talk to you. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like, pardon me, coming through. Like,
so there's
like
I don't know. Yeah, it's I don't know.
I identify as, so I mean.
Yeah, and apparently in Canada, like,
it's my opinion, it's my choice.
Yeah. I don't know. It's so. I don't know. I'm just. And I hear like a lot of, you know, and there's people that I know that, like, they were considered friends at one point, and they now spout this type of stuff. Like, you know, to be fair, you were a fat fucking loser before, so what now? Now you're a fat fucking dragonkin.
Yes.
You're still a nobody.
No, you're freaking special now.
I guess. I don't know. You know, why not do something productive to actually make society better? You know, write a book, write music, create art. Don't make yourself a fucking joke. Speaking of jokes, segue from global news. Trudeau doubles down on gun laws, pledges tougher firearm control. So, and I've said it. Remember when COVID, all the policies first being pushed out by COVID, first thing Justin Trudeau did was ban a shit ton of guns. 1,500 firearms were banned within the first couple weeks of COVID being announced. So I guess the Liberal leader Justin Trudeau is attacking his main rival over gun control and safety on the 22nd day of who gives a shit. He pledged tighter controls on guns already banned by his government and funding for provinces to prohibit guns locally. Trudeau targeted Conservative leader Aaron O'Toole over a proposed repeal of a Liberal ban on 1,500 firearms. A position the Tory leader reversed on Sunday. I'm going to have to look into that some more. During a Sunday morning campaign stop in Markham, outlined plans to strengthen the existing rules. These guns have no place in our communities and have no place anywhere in Canada. The Conservative Party's election platform promised to repeal the Liberals' ban as assault-style weapons, which, man, makes no sense to me.
It's just the way that they look. Like, if it looks like a assault-style rifle or like army issue thing, like automatically illegal. Not
It's
just because of how it looked.
Exactly. Yeah, because it's a black gun. You know, what happened to Black Lives Matter? Well, black guns matter. And it's so fucking it's like this is typical government 101. Instead of addressing the issue, you're like, hey, I think we all agree people shooting people with guns isn't right. How about you take care of the gang issue? How about you take care of the illegal guns that are coming across the borders? How about you take care of those problems? But no, you focus on the people that are already following the laws, and then you turn them into criminals overnight. It's so fucking stupid.
You know what I find very frustrating about this? Okay, so in part of this article here too, it says those include the AR-15 rifle and the Ruger Mini 14, which is used in the deadly Ecole Polytech massacre of 1989.
Exactly.
1989. Okay, well, so this gun was used a bajillion years ago, and well, now we're going to ban it because, you know, it was used in a deadly massacre. I am just going to say to anybody who doesn't grasp this fact, a criminal will find a way to use a gun and use more ammo than they're legally allowed to use if they're going to commit a crime. They're not going to go by the gun laws in Canada, nor are they going to go by whatever guns they're allowed to use and how much ammo they're allowed to use. Anybody who commits a crime are not responsible gun owners. They are people who are obtaining their guns illegally. So why on earth are you banning guns from legal gun owners? Like, fact, that's no sense.
I would push back not push back, but the other way. But I would say Bill Blair, he was Toronto police chief. He knows the problems. He knows them. I promise you, he knows what's actually going on. And this is so disingenuous to the actual issue. Beyond disingenuous. I think if he had it his way, like Bill Blair, the fucking communist prick, if he had his way, he would ban all guns outright. Outright.
Because that's going to stop the crime.
Because he's a politician. I don't know. I'm sorry. Bill Blair is such a fucking snake. And it makes me so mad just how much of a spineless fucking whiner he is. He was a Toronto top cop. He knows the problems. He knows why these guys are getting guns. But typical government, this is why I get mad with government. Instead of solving the problem, if a government ever solved the problem, they realize that people don't need them. So they will continue the issue because, well, now we have a talking point. Look at, like, I get notifications all the time. Gun shootings in Toronto, gun shootings in Vancouver. I get these from all over. In Edmonton, there was just a couple shootings. Okay, but most of them are illegal guns that shouldn't be in a criminal's hands. But I'm sorry, I'm sure some fucking gangster doesn't say, "Hey, remember, Justin Trudeau said we can't have these guns, so we won't do these. We won't use these." Like, they give a fuck. Yeah. People like them because they work. They do a job. It's just, I don't know. I know you're more of a hunter.
Gun. It's not even the gun. It's the person, right? Like,
yeah,
you can you can straight up fully load your rifle, hunting rifle, shotgun, whatever you want. Set it in the corner of the room. It ain't going to move unless you physically move it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, load it up. Okay, gun. Go kill somebody. The thing ain't moving. It ain't moving.
It's a tool. Like, as people want to say, oh, it's a weapon and its purpose is to kill things. Well, it's a tool. You could say that it could be a tool used for self-defense. It could be a tool used for, self-sufficiency, like hunting and that type of stuff. Okay, but a car is just a tool in order for you to get from one place to another quickly.
Yeah.
But people also use it to run people over. I don't know the numbers, but I would bet my life savings on there are more people killed by cars than there are people that are killed by guns. I don't know the numbers.
Well, what about alcohol?
Exactly. By tobacco. Like we have way bigger problems. If our government...
How many people die a day from cigarettes?
Oh, it's fucking insane. It is staggering how many people actually die from, like, I'm sure gun deaths isn't even like the top 5. I would say top 5 ways that people die in Canada.
Oh, yeah. Like alcohol, cigarettes. Definitely probably like top 2.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I would say probably diabetes, something like that is significantly higher than gun deaths.
They don't ban anything like that. Like,
no.
You can buy booze every day, all day long.
Oh, yeah. You could literally drink yourself to death. Literally.
Yeah.
So let's see. From Stats Canada. Oh, God. What the hell is this?
But just because those are 2 things that make billions of dollars every year, right? They'll never touch it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. It is. The government makes tons of money. Okay, so top leading causes of death in Canada: cancer, heart disease, accidents, cerebrovascular diseases, chronic lower respiratory diseases, diabetes, flu and pneumonia, Alzheimer's, suicide, kidney disease. Those are the top 10. So kidney disease is 3,767. Let's see gun deaths. Gun deaths in Canada. I would say it's probably less than 2,000 people. Oh my God. 695 in 2018. 695. Less than 1.1% of our population has been killed by a gun. Source then down and match figures out. Yeah.
So they got to ban them all, take everything away from everybody, just because somebody with a issue. Well, yeah, like, I mean,
yeah.
So like, I'm totally on the person. Type person.
Yeah. And this is one thing that I've pushed for is you punish the person. You don't punish the society because of the person.
No.
Like, if you shoot someone and kill them, well, punish them. Punish you. You did it. Not punish the whole society.
Yeah, but the society now is literally one person ruins it for everybody. One person will mess up and everybody has to suffer for it. That's how this society is. That's how school is. That's how workplaces are. Like, it's absolutely absurd.
Yeah, it's because one person does it. And this is why, you could tie it back, and like my stance hasn't really changed on much. If you are scared of something, if you are scared of guns, okay, well then educate yourself. Like, I see, like, I know, Mark, I know you hunt, and I know our friend Mike hunts, but I would never I couldn't even think of a situation outside of someone breaking into your home and possibly hurting you or your family where a gun would be turned on another person. It would never even be a thought like, well, I don't know if Mark should have a gun. He's kind of a fucking weirdo. It's never a thought. It's not a thought at all. And in fact, I would say, like, you know what? If someone came in and you shot and killed them, I said, I'm sure there's a very good reason why. I don't know, man. Like, it's...
Yeah, but that's also, there's a fine line too there, apparently.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Somebody, like, I don't know for 100%, but apparently anything below the waist is not attempted murder.
Oh, well,
So-
shoot their dick off.
Yeah, so if you shot them above the waist and they broke into your house, like trying to actually kill you, then it'd be the same thing as if you like beat the shit out of somebody. They would charge you for assault,
Yeah.
even though
And-
they broke into your house.
It's so, and the thing is, you're supposed to phone the police. Yo, the police isn't there. Like 15 seconds in a dangerous situation like that is literally the difference between life and death. Like, Steven Crowder brought this up, and he said, you know what I would rather see instead of man rapes woman? Rather see woman shoots would-be rapist. That's what you know what? And I totally
100%.
agree with him.
Oh, and be like, oh, you're a hero.
Yeah.
Like,
Like how is a woman going to phone the cops when the guy says, if you move, I'm going to fucking slit your throat? I would much rather, like, you can't have a taser, you can't have pepper spray, you can't have bear spray for self-defense. You are literally incapable of defending yourself. Here's one crazy thing. Look up where mass shootings have happened. They're all of them. I shouldn't say all of them. I would say an overwhelming majority of them are in gun-free zones. So someone that's going to shoot up a school, shoot up a mall, shoot up whatever, where's the best play to go? Where there's someone is not capable of defending themselves.
Oh, 100%.
yeah, walk right in and just lay her down.
Exactly. Yeah, just hold that fucking trigger down.
Malls, schools.
Well, I guess- Yeah. That's where a lot of mass shootings happen. Where someone doesn't, like, there was a video of a guy in a church pulled out a shotgun and started shooting at people. He was able to kill one person, and I think it was like within like 5 seconds, 3 other people around him shot and killed this guy. Like, you know what? That sounds like a good story to me. It's unfortunate, like one person died, as opposed to how many more? I'm a big fan of, self-preservation. The police aren't always going to be there.
Yeah.
Like, so what are people supposed to do? Just run away. Okay, well, now you're getting shot in the back, and how many more people are going to suffer at the hands of some fucking psycho? I don't know, man. It's so like I want to hear more stories like that. Woman tased fucking the would-be rapist dick off. Fucking turned it into a hot dog.
There you go. Yeah. No, I'm looking at a list of ones right now just in 2021, and yeah, it's parks, basketball place, like basketball, whatever you call it. Oh my god.
Basketball court.
Court, thank you. There's a word I'm looking for. Parks, barbershops, like it's all literally exactly places where people cannot defend themselves.
Yeah. You know what? I would much rather that. I think it does such a disservice to people that are vulnerable, people that aren't able to place that phone call to police. And you know what? I think trying to force more guns out of law-abiding citizens. I don't. No, we're not all good people. We're just not. So, the people that now can do it, and like, I remember when Justin Trudeau put out this big gun ban, what happened? There was a massive gun shooting, like multiple people died in Toronto days after, and everyone was saying, well, where was your gun policy? Why didn't your gun policy stop this? Because they're being disingenuous. If Bill Blair, yeah, it even says the former Toronto police chief is running for re-election. So yeah, he's a fucking politician. It's, I don't know, it's so disingenuous. I don't think government will ever try to actually solve a problem, because then you realize you don't actually need them. If government actually gave people the right and the ability for them to actually solve their own problems, I don't know.
It's a good point.
That's so fucked.
Yeah.
So fucked up.
I agree.
All right. Is any closing statements, or should we get the hell out of here?
But I don't know. Just one more thing, like with this whole COVID issue and everybody being like pissed off and fighting with the government. I mean, why doesn't everybody just band together? Like, finally say, you know what, fuck it, this is the time. Like,
I think
the people of the country, like, are gonna take over. So everybody march to like Capitol Hill or whatever, right? But
well, I think a lot of people
complaining about it and continue to bitch about it and do nothing about it, right?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people are they don't want to cause ripples. You know, just shut up, just do the thing. You know, whatever the government says, do it. And I'll note this again. Government took away rights, and then they're giving them back as privileges.
Yeah.
I need to reiterate that.
If you get your vaccine, you get your privilege back.
Yeah. Which just proves everything.
Exact statement too, right?
Yeah, that's that. You know, and people have called out and said like, "Oh, maybe he shouldn't have said privileges." But it was a press statement. It wasn't something that he said in like passing, and and maybe he clarified like, "Well, I don't mean privileges. I just, he could have said something else." No, this was an official statement. This was those were his exact words. You will get your old privileges back. Those are very different than your rights. Well, rights should not be violated. Your privileges can be withdrawn at any time. Just like your privilege to drive can be withdrawn if you do something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people in terms of like COVID stuff, I think they just, you know what? It's not a big deal. Just let it go. Just get the vaccination. Even if you can't get it, just get it.
Well, even like a flu shot. When's the last time you had a flu shot? For me, it's probably been over 10 years, and I
17.
haven't had the flu in like maybe one time.
It's been a hot minute for me.
I've had the flu a few times, but I haven't had the flu shot since I was 17 years old. I refused it.
Neither. Me neither. Like, it's been years.
Yeah.
And I've been fine.
When H1N1 came out, I got H1N1 and I was very, very sick for like 3 months.
Yeah.
I didn't even get that vaccine. That's the only thing that made me think of getting the COVID vaccine, is how sick I was with H1N1. I'm like, well, if this is supposed to be worse than H1N1, maybe I should get it. But that is literally the only reason.
Yeah, like you're supposed to get it from mosquito, right? So it's like, I'm scared to go outside. You get bit by one mosquito.
Yeah. Like, but see, it's funny because in a lot of the news articles and stuff like that, like they continuously keep saying, we urge people to follow the public health guidelines. They keep saying guidelines, but they're not guidelines. They're literally forcing you to get this vaccine. If you want to keep your job, if you want to go anywhere, if you want to see people, if you want to, be able to go into the hospitals and see your dying loved ones, you got to get that vaccine. Like, they're literally, if you want to go to school, university students aren't allowed to go to school unless they get vaccinated. I know a few people who no longer can go to university anymore because they refuse to get vaccinated. Like, this isn't a guideline thing. This is literally something that's being forced upon you.
Yeah, and they're giving out money now.
It's a decree.
God, I can't even. Yeah.
It's a decree. Second shot by September or whatever, and you get a chance to win $1 million.
Yeah. Oh, that was one thing I also talked about was, look what Pallister said. Well, where do we get the money from? Ask your 2-year-old. Quoted as, ask your 2-year-old where we got the money from.
Where would they know?
Well, the money's coming from them. That's how far in advance they've borrowed this money from. So if you have a 2-year-old child right now, that
Yeah, when
2-year-old
they're
is going to
older,
still
yeah.
be paying it back. Like,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
gross.
Yeah. And I think most people, they just, like I said, they just want to just shut up and let's just get this done. But then, well, if this is considered an emergency, and I'll say, thankfully, thankfully, it is not as bad as it could have been. Thankfully, the initial information that was coming out didn't hold up. When they were saying like, hey, a lot of people are dying from this. Okay, but what people? Well, most people that were ages, above life expectancy and that had 2 or more comorbidities. Okay, now the more information has come out. What if it was actually just this thing is just ravaging people, like how smallpox was or the Spanish flu? Upwards of 10 to 20% of people were dying from it.
Black plague?
Yeah.
Half the planet.
Yeah. Yeah. So if we're going to take these drastic measures on, when we've all heard the statistics, we all know the numbers. If we're going to take these types of drastic measures for that, then anything can be declared an emergency. A bad flu season now can be considered an emergency. So we need to take executive action with these guidelines. Like, they're not guidelines. If you're being fined and imprisoned for it, those are decrees. That is when the dictator is telling you what you can and cannot do from day to day, from your own individual life. That's why I say it is scary that people are so willing just to shut up and not just do it.
There's another gender. There's sheeple.
Yeah. Right? Add that to the list, Kim.
Okay, I will. But that's the thing too, is that there are so many people that I talk to that they'll just, I'm just going to get the vaccine just because I want normal back. Like, that's literally their only reason for getting it, is they think it's bullshit, but I'm just going to get it because I want my life back. I want to be able to go places again and stuff like that, because they just, from being locked down for so long and losing jobs and losing their businesses and stuff like that, they just want their lives back. So, I mean, I can understand those people that are just frustrated and they're just, fuck, just get it over and done with. Why are these people complaining? Just hurry up and do it so I can get back to normal again. But I don't know.
Like I said, the CDC said that we're supposed to be at herd immunity. It was supposed to be at 60%, then 70, then 80, and now we want to get everyone vaccinated. Okay, whatever. You know what? Sure. Like, at what point is it just, what? This is become way more than what it should have been, and people are just. I think people are just. They're just afraid. I think a lot of people are just operating out of fear.
100% they are. 100% they are. And there's even so many people that agree with our viewpoints, I guess, on this whole thing, and agree with things that we're saying, but they won't openly go out and say it, because they know as soon as they open their mouths and agree to something like that, even though that is how they feel, that friends, family, stuff like that, they're just going to be completely shunned by them. Like, they don't want to go on a public platform and talk about these kind of issues and stuff like that, because then it's going to cause problems for them.
Yeah. And that's scary. That's scarier. And I think the expression that I heard was like, it's very lonely doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Or I guess the other one that I heard was, no, fuck, no, I just remembered it. Now I totally forgot it. But
God damn it.
Yeah. But oh well. Anyways, anything else, or are we good to get out of here?
He's thinking.
Can't think of anything right now.
All right. Well, let's get the fuck out of here.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. We'll say again, like, subscribe, leave a comment if there's anything you want to hear us bitch about.
Yeah, you better like and subscribe to this podcast, or I'll come out them speakers and whoop ya.
Don't forget to share. Even if you don't like us, just share us. You know, somebody might like us. But thanks for listening. We will see you guys again.
Yep.
Bye, guys.
Have a good night. Thanks for coming, Mark.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for having me.
All right. Good night, everyone.